Hi, this is Nancy Yearout, and welcome to my show, High Road to Humanity. In every episode, I tell you powerful true stories filled with great wisdom that you can use in your own life as you strive for a higher road to travel. My featured guests will have their own unique stories to tell that enlighten your mind and your soul. So kick back, relax, and learn the secret to success when you take the high road.
First touch, strong connection, it lays deep in your soul.
Hi, this is Nancy Yearout, and welcome to High Road to Humanity. And guess who's with me today? Maureen St. Germain is here, and we're going to talk about Beyond the Flower of Life, the Merkabah. And what we're going to talk about really is going to 5D, 6D, 7D. This is so exciting, you guys. So make sure you share the show and remember to hit that subscribe button for me because it really helps me, okay? Hey, listen, I want to tell you guys before I bring Maureen on, this just came out. It's Friday, and I saw this about the Surfside building collapse. It says death toll rises to 20 after body of firefighter's daughter was found. And I feel so bad. It says 2 bodies were recovered from the rubble on Thursday night, including that of a 7-year-old girl. Oh my gosh, who is the daughter of a Miami firefighter, according to Miami-Dade County Mayor Daniela Levine Cava. It goes without saying that every night since last Wednesday has been immensely difficult, and that during a press conference in Surfside on Friday morning, but last night was uniquely different. It was truly different and more difficult for our first responders. These men and women are paying an enormous human toll each and every day, she added, and we need to be there for them as they are here for us. And wow, this is just an incredible. So yeah, send prayers, send good energy to these people down there. Not sure what happened. There's some conspiracy theories out there. I'm not sure what happened on this one, but send some prayers, okay? Now, let me tell you what's going on with Maureen. She's such a great lady, and she is an author, and she's the founder of Transformational Enterprises and Akashic Records, Guides International, an internationally recognized teacher and intuitive. She is also the author, musician, and producer of more than 15 guided meditation CDs. I didn't know that. And she's the author of 6 books, including Wake Up in 5D and Opening the Akashic Records, and she lives in New York City. Welcome back to High Road to Humanity, Miss Maureen.
Thank you. And thank you for that fabulous introduction. And, not for long in New York City. Next week, we move to the Sedona area.
So you are going, oh gosh, that's so cool.
We are going.
I am so excited.
Well, I'm pretty excited too, actually.
Say that again?
I'm pretty excited too.
You're pretty excited.
And, we will still have our home in New York,
Right.
but we're moving to Arizona because I want to start a school there. I mean, a physical school.
Nice. Nice. Well, and you'll be my neighbor.
Yeah.
Well, should be my neighbor. Yeah. I can just jet over there. This book you updated, you guys, this is the revised and updated edition, and it says it across the top. And I bring this to your attention because she did update this just how long ago?
It came out in April.
Yeah, so it's very, very recent. We had her on the show talking about it. We're going to talk about some really interesting stuff. I want to get right into it if you don't mind. And I want to ask you, you start with telling people about 5D. You say, what is heaven? You say heaven is 5D. Talk about this.
Well, everybody has their own ideas on what 5D might be. And when I get asked, well, can you describe it? I'll say, well, think about what the traditional churches teach is heaven. You're able to communicate. You're able to have relationships. You don't step on anyone's toes because you're already in heaven and there's like no toes to step on, so to speak. But
Yeah.
it's bigger than that. It's kind of like, I don't know if you've ever done this, but if you ask for the Hathors to overshadow you, and
The Hathors?
Hathors. Yeah, it's
okay.
A lot of people say Hathors.
Well, that's why I ask you that.
Hathors. It's Hathor, but it's with soft A, so it's Hathors.
Okay.
And when you call them in and ask them to overshadow you, and then you get into a difficult situation, what happens is you open your mouth to say something mean and something sweet comes out. And that's what 5D is like. It's like, it's not possible to misbehave in 5D because you
Mhm.
don't see those options. They don't come out. They don't appear to you. So
The vibration's higher, so it's just a lower vibration when that stuff comes out of your mouth.
that's all true. That's all true. In third
Yeah.
dimension, we're allowed to make mistakes. We're allowed to screw up. A lot of people don't get that. And
Yeah.
once we begin to understand, it's all a game. And in the game, these were the rules. And the rules were that there's polarity, we're allowed to make mistakes and things like
Yeah.
this. The thing
Right.
that was not understood by Creator when we created the third dimension and moved into density was man's inhumanity to man. And that was not in the plan. And what happened is there were fallen angels who had agendas that they thought they would hurry up man's evolution by making them more competitive. And that more competitive meant, I'm worried that you're going to,
Be better than me or whatever. But we still,
Right.
that's the ego. That's the ego.
No, we're not talking better than. Let me get it out.
Okay.
I'm worried that my clan won't be able to take care of my family. And if your clan sends a guy to marry my daughter and she goes lives over there, then what'll I do? I will lose her. And so it isn't about better than, it's about a form of competition that puts your survival at stake. And it is that level of competition that was inspired by the fallen angels. And there's a great book out there. I didn't write it, and the man who wrote it recently passed away, but he did endorse my book, my Waking Up in 5D, before he passed. And
Who
the
is
book
it?
is called Confessions of a Rebel Angel, and it's by Timothy Wiley. So, make a note of it. If you really want to understand the dark agenda that people talk about, read that book, because the dark agenda isn't recent. It isn't new. It's biblical,
Yeah.
it's way biblical. And we've
Mhm.
been told this, but we kind of think, oh, well, that was then. Well, guess what? It's been ongoing. And we're finally, I think, coming out of it.
I agree. You say there's a new energy opportunity and programming available to all who decide to participate.
So what that means is you wake up every morning and you say, I want to wake up in 5D. Or you go to bed at night and you say, I want to wake up in 5D. You decide to ask for a day of heaven on earth for yourself and everyone you come in contact with. So all of these things bring on the higher vibe and make it easier to be your best self.
Okay. When now you teach the Merkabah meditation.
No, not in the book.
Well, not in the book. I know you have a class. I'm halfway through, you guys. I went halfway through your class. It's amazing. It's how to, and I want you to talk about this. It's sacred geometry. It's opening the heart is what it is. And if you do this, talk about the Merkabah. If you do this meditation, it raises your vibration.
Right. Well, first of all, the Merkabah has often been looked at like a shape, like this. This guy. This is called a star tetrahedron. But if you notice, if I hold it a certain way, I can spin it. And a true Merkabah is three of these nested together, taking up the same space, one spinning one spinning the other, and a third one that's not moving. And so you learn the meditation. It's a little bit complicated to learn, but once you get it, it's like learning to drive. It's a little complicated when you first start out, but once you get it, it's a piece of cake. It only takes 5 minutes to do. So once you learn it, it allows your consciousness to be vibrating at a higher level. Now, when this first came out, 30 years ago, we needed that extra hit. Many people can activate their Merkabah without studying the steps. Like a farm kid can learn to drive because he's been driving tractors for so long.
Right.
So there are people who are highly evolved that are just going to turn it on. And so this is important that you understand that. But when you take the time to learn the steps to activate it, then making it permanent is a piece of cake. And that's your goal, to make that your permanent bodysuit. And
yeah, because you say it's like a suit. Yeah.
It is like a suit. It's almost like getting a uniform that says you're a colonel, even though you haven't earned it. And so you get certain privileges with that.
And I just want to say and I'm not your class was really good. I'm only halfway through it, but it was really interesting how you explain this whole thing and all the dynamics and the geometrics. And I mean, it's really scientific, this whole thing.
Well, it's so interesting. When it first came out, it was not taught that way. And I added all the science that I could to
Right.
help people like me who wanted to have, the proofs. So yeah, there's a lot of science in there. And one of the things that I think is so important is the actual activation codes are based on your body's own numbers, not on Kabbalistic numbers and not on, angel numbers or any of that, which is all good stuff, but not for this. This is for you and this body. It's like you put nail polish on your nail. You don't put nail polish on your lips to make your lips look pretty and have them stay for a long time. I actually heard a story from someone who did that in the early days of nail polish.
Okay.
Do that once, right?
Wow.
So understand that the Merkabah is a suit, an energy field that you acquire. And when you activate it on you, it gives you the ability to be fifth dimensional, even if you haven't, quote, earned it. And that's very cool. It also helps us understand that what it means to unhook from karma. Because in the old day, we carried around the guilt of the stupid stuff we did when we were in our 20s, or the obnoxious things we did when we were in our 30s. We started to get our act together, and
we've all done that. Hey, listen, we got to go to commercial break. You guys, I'm here today with Maureen St. Germain. Her book is Beyond the Flower of Life, and you have to check it out. And you have to check out her class. Maureen, if they want to take the class, they go to your website, maureenjstgermain.com. Is that right?
MaureenSt.Germain.com. There's no J in the
There's no J in there. Okay. All right, cool. Hey, it's Nancy Yearout. This is High Road to Humanity, and we will be right back. This is Nancy Yearout, and this is High Road to Humanity. And I'm here today with Maureen St. Germain, and we're talking about the Merkabah. We're talking about raising our vibration. We're talking about 5D. There's so much to cover, so I'm just going to jump in here. I want to talk about orbs. I've been seeing orbs for a while. I take pictures, and there's orbs. I think they're angels. What are they?
I think they're energy beings. They could be angels.
Yeah.
What's so cool is I believe they've been there all along, and it's just now that our cameras are capturing it. And how are they capturing it? Our vibe is higher, but our eyes block it out because biologically our eyes block out anything it can't explain. So if we see enough of them in our films, we may start to see them. There's an old story about when Magellan landed in the South Pacific, and they took small boats into shore, and everybody said, "Well, how did you get here? Where did you come from?" And they pointed to the big ships, and the natives could not see them.
The ships? Why?
The native could not see them because they had no reference point. They were primitive people, and so the shamans came and looked and looked and looked till they could see them. So we block out what doesn't grok with us, what doesn't work for us. And you don't realize you're doing it. We do that selectively with lots of things. I mean, if you think about your memory or, experiences.
Okay, I have a question. I'm going to put myself out here now, you guys. So lately, I've been seeing myself from the side. Like, I'll be doing something and I'll realize I wasn't here, I was over here. What's happening? Why is that happening?
You're observing yourself in multidimensional reality. So that means you're actually aware of two versions of you. And the version there's an observer, and then there's the person that you're seeing, and that happens to a lot of people. You see it out of sight, especially out of the side of your eyes, or movement. Again, that's another being that's, in that other version of the reality. So, I've been showing people this. It's so funny.
Well, what am I doing? Am I watching myself? I mean, I'm like, it's the weirdest thing, Maureen. I know I'm like, I'm over here. And then I'm like, oh, I'm back here. I'm over here. No, I'm back here. I mean, what am I doing? Am I observing or
timelines? So you got all these timelines that you're weaving back together, you see, and we're doing that in order to, in order to create a new version of the reality.
I'm so glad you came on today because I didn't know what was going on, and I've been dying to ask you.
Okay, so here we are. We think we're on one timeline. This is my
Okay.
headset, right?
Okay,
We're on
right.
one timeline. We're marching along like this, okay? But then we get to this point. It's a mess here. Wait a minute. I gotta fix it.
It's like my life. No, I'm
Yeah,
just teasing.
it's
I'm
not.
teasing. I'm teasing. It's not like that.
Okay. So we come here, and then we bifurcate, okay? But then
Mhm.
we can put those pieces back together, and they weave together. So the ability, you see, the whole idea that there's only one you and only one timeline and only one universe is,
Small-minded.
yes, it is ego-based, saying that we're all there is. It's simply not true.
Right.
We are expressing in multiple expressions. We deliberately use time and timelines to separate the experiences so we can enjoy them and examine them and look at them. But what happens is every time you make a decision, you bifurcate. Okay, so here we are with these. This is good. This is so good. So here we are with these two versions of you, right?
Okay, right.
In my ear, just to hold it up. Okay.
It kind of freaks you out, you know. I just want to say
Okay.
that.
Now look at this. Here we are with two different versions of you. But then, as time goes on, we can slide this thing up wherever it went. Slid away from me. Yeah, here we go. So then as time goes on and we are able to manage all of this, we literally weave it into one. Okay. And then
Is that the higher self that we're weaving it into?
We're weaving it into a history that contains both of the pieces if you want to take it apart, but it becomes one history.
Okay.
So, you know, the famous Robert Frost poem, The Road Not Taken, I
Right.
try to get people to think about that.
That's why we're on the high road, Maureen.
I know. It's
The road less, it's the road less traveled.
So what if when you stood there, you took both roads? One version of you went one way and the other way.
And then you could see multiple timelines like Jean Decode does. Can you see multiple timelines, Maureen?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And you go, and I want to talk about this. I'm kind of jumping ahead, but you go and clear different parts of the world like Jean Decode does. You do that too, don't you? You clear
We do
things.
clear.
You clear.
And I do have people who do clearing work.
Mhm.
And I do have people who work with me who do energy support.
Right.
So that the people in those areas can get what they need.
I understand. So you shift the energy. You go and you shift the energy and you clear it and stuff.
Right, and shift the energy to support them. Exactly.
All
And
right.
also I work on the grids the same way. And the grids also change the vibe. You know, I talk about the Christ consciousness grid in that book. And
I know. If you want to jump ahead and get to that, can we talk about that? Because I'm so excited, you guys, to talk about this stuff. I mean, it's just,
it's so funny. I'm listening to you and thinking, okay, she wants to know about this next, you know?
I do. I'm sorry. I'm like just my end of my show here, but we're jumping ahead.
No, go for it. Follow your track because I can.
Yeah,
because do both tracks, right?
You're funny. Well, you talk about the Christ consciousness grid, and there's a picture, and I want you to tell the story because this was really, really amazing to me. I don't know, and you guys can see this or not on YouTube. I'm holding it up. It's in the book. It's a grid around the world. Talk about this picture and the lady who.
This was created by a woman by the name of Cheryl Boyke. She
Right.
was not a professional artist,
Right.
but she was really given this beautiful vision.
Okay.
And she was told to take your vision to the people.
Okay.
And what happened is she saw three versions of this grid. And if you do a search on the web for Christ consciousness grid, that image will come up more often than anything. And it's so funny because.
So she saw it. She was looking at night. You write in the book. So I just want to make sure the audience understands. She was out at night and she looked up and she was able to see the grid. Right?
Yeah. She was also able to see the whole thing as a universe, not just this part that she was looking at. Like if you were on the inside of a geometric shape, you'd only see part of it. But
Okay.
she's seeing the whole thing, you see?
Wow.
And that's what
Okay.
the picture shows.
Okay.
The whole thing as an image.
Okay.
But the most important thing is she named it cosmic integrity. And I have maintained that the whole purpose of the grid was to help mankind step up and to stop falling into the mud where we were making poor decisions.
Right.
Now, when you look at the word cosmic integrity, it's like the uniform that kids put on to go to school. And kids that wear a uniform in school have better behavior. There's something about wearing a uniform that does that.
Hmm.
And there's
That's true. That's true.
yeah, lots of studies that prove this.
Mm-hmm.
But what I maintain is the name cosmic integrity. What does integrity mean? Integrity means that your mind, your words, your actions
Means something. Yeah.
are all in alignment.
Mm-hmm.
So if I say I'm going to always tell the truth, I think I want to say that, I think I want to do that, and then I do a white lie, I am out of integrity. If I don't care, then it doesn't matter. But when I make the statement, I want people to be honest with me and I'm willing to be honest back, I create a matrix that now if I tell a white lie, I'm going to be out of integrity. So with the matrix of the Christ consciousness grid, which Cheryl Boyke saw, what that does is hold the vibe so that when you're thinking about telling a fib or telling the truth, oh, what the heck, I'll just tell them the truth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I like what you
can make good choices. Yeah.
right. Well, you say here with the ascended masters, with their help, we have they put this around, or they did this to show that this is what our future is, which you mean, I guess, to say that we actually make it, because they put the grid around the earth, but it's something that we do, but they did it ahead of time. Am I correct? So that we get to that vibration, or what? Okay, well, tell me, explain.
I meditated on this a long
okay, well, explain.
Okay, so what they did, imagine when you build scaffolding around a building.
Right.
Start at the bottom, and then from wherever the good base that you build, then you add to it, and then you add to it, and then you add to it, and
Gotcha.
then you add to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what the Ascended Masters did. They went out to the future that was known,
Right.
and then added to the future that was known, a new version of the future that was known, and a new version of the future was known. And from each vantage point, they could access more data. And so as they worked their way up, they literally, it's not the right word, tunneled, but they literally scaffolded themselves up to a version of the future where we, humanity, had that grid that we created. They replicated it and brought it back in this place in this time so that we would have an exact replica of where we're going.
So we make it, you guys. Hey, I got to go to commercial break. I'm here today with Maureen St. Germain. Her book is called Beyond the Flower of Life. You got to check this out, you guys. This is Nancy Yearout. This is High Road to Humanity, and we will be right back. Hi, this is Nancy Yearout, and this is High Road to Humanity. I'm here today with Maureen St. Germain, and I'm so glad she came on the show today. Hey, I got to advertise a little bit. Don't forget to go to my website, nancyyearout.com. And if you want a psychic reading, just click on book, and it'll take you to my calendar, and you can pick out your date and time. Okay, talk to us some more about the grid, Maureen.
Okay, so what an easier way to perhaps understand how all this works. Imagine that for my grandson, I create a trust fund, and I keep putting money into it. Mm-hmm. And we keep telling him as he grows up, if you want to go to college, there's money there for you. It'll cover any college you want to go. There's plenty of money. You'll have money for books and clothes and anything you need. And if you don't go to college, you can have that trust fund when you're 55.
Wow.
So what are the chances that kid's going to go to college?
He's going, man.
And is he going to graduate?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Then he gets the whole thing. He gets, right. It'll be doled out, but at the end of graduation, he gets whatever he didn't spend.
Right.
So, it's like that. The Christ consciousness grid is like that. It's a setup. And the setup still does not interfere with free will, but it weighs it in such a way that it's weighted for you to choose this, because Feels pretty good to do that.
It pushes you a little bit further towards
No, it
doing.
does not push you. That's
Okay,
very
what's it?
important.
Okay, what's it do?
Because pushing is not free will. Understand?
Okay.
Pushing or pulling is not free will. But if I say the choices are weighted, you can have this purse that's got $50 in it. You're going to have this purse that's got
I
100
see.
in it. That
see.
is weighted.
So
And
it gives us
now
the
know-
incentive. It gives us the incentive to do it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Because you still have to practice free will. And if you absolutely, there's no way in God's green earth you're going to go to college, no sweat. You go out and do whatever you want to do and make your own millions. And then when you're 55, you have a little extra.
Love it. Okay. Let's talk about, and I'm going to have to rewind a little bit because I got ahead of myself because I'm so excited about the Christ consciousness grid. I thought that was so interesting. And I'd like to be a grid worker. I'd like to go out there and do that because I have high energy and I talked to you about that. And I think I'm going to do that. And you even say in the book, if you feel called to do that, you're supposed to, Anyway.
Well, that's
Right.
something that we can do in the future. There was a cycle of a number of years where we were building grids and putting programs in the grids and so on. That cycle completed, but there may be other opportunities because there are more wonderful things coming, so.
Right. Well, no, when you have that energy and you feel like you need to help. I don't know. I think that's what it
It's
is.
a very interesting thing. There's a story in the book from one of my students, and after her father passed, he came and they went,
Oh,
I'll call
yeah.
it joyriding. You remember that?
Yeah.
And her father was a policeman or a fireman or something. He was, in that kind of work, and they had done this before he died. So they used to sit in meditation and go on these joyrides, if you will, into higher dimensions. So
Mhm.
after he passed, he came and they did it again.
Oh,
And
wow.
he said to his daughter, "What do you see?" And she said, "Well, there's grids everywhere." And he said, "Exactly. It's all grids."
I know the whole thing. It
And
is.
it's so
isn't
funny
it?
because whenever I want to get a new journal for myself, like to write in or
Yeah.
whatever, it's got to
Yeah.
be graph paper,
It's got to be what?
graph paper, the little
Oh,
boxes
yeah,
everywhere.
no, I know what you're talking about. Oh, that's really crazy. Okay. Well, that's weird. So let's talk about some of the different dimensions. After we make it to fifth, we go to sixth. I mean, there's different dimensions. Talk about the different dimensions.
Understand that we're floating around this whole system. It's a cosmic soup.
Okay.
So, number one thing to help people understand
Okay.
is when we make it to fifth, we don't get to stay there because as soon as somebody trips our trigger and we slide back down into third, the minute we move into judgment about ourselves or someone else, we're sliding back into third. It's pretty, when you first get there, it feels really blissful and really cool, really awesome. But then, you slide back into your old behaviors, your old thinking, and it's a gradual, it's like when we grow up. My mother told me once that kids don't grow up in a straight line. And I was so naive when she said this to me. I'd already had 2 kids and they were, pretty easy, I guess,
Mhm.
and this child came along and he was always doing stuff, pushing the limits. And when she said this to me, I said, "What does that mean?" I was like, "What is she talking about?" And she said, "Well, when they do something mature, which you just told me about, they usually follow it with something stupid." And I burst out laughing. And sure enough, that's what happens.
Yeah.
So that's us, by the way. That's us. We make it. We feel good about ourselves. And then maybe that's when the ego moves in and
then we slip back. Yeah.
Right.
I've done it, so I know what you're talking about. And then go ahead. Well, I just want to say that that's happened to me. I know I'm in 5D. I know I'm like way up there. I'm like, okay, cool. And then somebody pushed my buttons and I said something I shouldn't have said. But then I was like, oh my God, why did I say that? Why did that even come out of my mouth? And then I'm like, where did that even come from? But then on the next conversation that I had, which was a similar situation, I was calm and handled it completely different. So I recognized it is my point. You start to recognize.
Exactly. So you're in this blissful place. And then when somebody pushes your buttons, it trips you up.
Yeah.
But then you get to a point where you get high enough that when they push your buttons, you go, isn't that interesting? It does not
That's
faze you.
right.
And
That's what
I
I'm
say
saying.
this to you with absolute joy. And I like to say to people, just act like a dumb blonde. Everything's a compliment.
Yes. I always say, God bless you. Bless your heart. Anyway, you tell a story in your book, and I love this story, and I'm asking you for a reason because there's a ring I'm missing. You say that there was a point where you realized that things were missing and they had gone to different dimensions. Your son's in the kitchen. I want you to tell this because people need to understand this, because I thought this was really enlightening, by the way.
Yeah, it is very enlightening. And
Tell. Hi, this is Nancy Yearout, and this is High Road to Humanity, and we're back here with Maureen St. Germain. Maureen, tell the story. I'm so excited for you to talk about.
Okay, so this was so interesting. I had been having stuff disappear, and when I would check in with guidance, I was always told, well, it's in a higher dimension. And then I would say, in my typical fashion, because I was used to working with kids, well, I want it back. And then I think, well, I probably should talk a little nicer to spirit. So I said, thank you. And, you know, I forgot about it. And then I'd ask in my classes, you guys having stuff disappear? Yeah. Okay. So we'll ask for it to come back. And sure enough, stuff would come back. So there we are. And there's a part of me that's thinking to myself,
what is missing? But what is missing? Like, what's missing, Maureen? Like what was gone? Like
sunglasses, eyeliner, jewelry.
Stuff you used every day.
Stuff you use every day.
Okay.
But maybe it's not the most important thing you use every day, you know?
Okay. All right.
And so I knew my kids weren't taking this stuff because it wasn't stuff that meant anything to them. And that's when it started me asking, well, where did my stuff go? Because my higher self was pretty good at answering me. And when I was told it was a higher dimension, I thought to myself, nah, I'm making that up. But then I would say, well, I want it back. And sure enough, it would come back. Oh, and then I would say, thank you. Before it came back, I would say, I got to talk nicer to spirit. Okay, that's a setup. So one day one of my sons comes in, and he's about age 16. He throws his book bag on the floor. He opens his book bag and tosses something into it, comes in the kitchen to tell me a big story. He gets halfway through the story and says, Mom, I'll show you what I mean. And he goes back into the living room, opens his book bag, and the thing, whatever it was, whatever object it was gone.
Now, why would that happen to him? Because you're the one that's switching dimensions. So how did that happen to him? Because he's in the same house?
He's pretty evolved, and there's lots of reasons, but I'll come back to the question.
All right. Well, you know me.
So
yeah.
Without thinking, I said, oh, honey, it's probably in a higher dimension. We'll just ask for it to come back. Go ahead and put everything back. By this time, he's pulled everything out of the book bag, thinking that he can find it since he knew he put it there. And he said, Mom, I just put it here. And I said, I know. I saw you do it. I saw you when you came in. I saw you do that. So he does what I say. He puts everything back in his backpack, comes in the kitchen, finishes his story. I said, okay, now go back and look. And there it was, right on top. And, you know, he just looks at me and, you know, walks away. You know, it's like living with Bewitched, right? You know?
I know. I love it. That's great. So if we're missing, because I've been missing this, and I'm wondering if it's in. So yesterday, after I was reading your book, and I thought, oh, maybe it's in another dimension. So anyway, I asked for it back. So you taught me a lot.
And there's a lot of stories there that a lot of stories from other people that confirm my experience. And there's a really wonderful story about a guy whose wife's phone disappeared in his work truck. Now, before I go on, I want to say what's going on. I want to explain what is going on and go back to that question.
Okay.
When we're in this higher vibe, this fifth dimension, and we put something down, and then we move into a lower dimension where we're describing something, and maybe we have some bias or polarity, we've dropped down to third. We go looking for it while we're in third, and it's not there. So you want to think of the dimensions like Russian dolls. And when you're in third, that's all you get to see. But when you're in fifth, you get to see the whole thing.
Okay. So if we're missing, so I just need to ask, and then it'll come back.
Ask and then relax about it, because it is the quote uptightness.
Oh, that's what it is. Because I've been uptight about it.
Yeah, of course. And, you know, I have a friend who is a very high spiritual teacher, and she came home one night and she had been wearing a family heirloom, a beautiful
Okay.
emerald ring, and
Okay.
she threw it in the drawer where her underwear was and thought, I'll deal with it tomorrow. I'm too tired to put it away. Okay.
Mhm.
Next day she goes looking for it. It's not there. She looked for it for 3 months, could not find it. She finally said to herself, I guess it's gone, and let it go. The next time she opened that drawer, it was right there on top.
So I need to let it go.
It's outrageous. And the story with the guy with his wife's cell phone was even more outrageous. I was in a class, I was explaining all of this. And this
Okay.
guy says, well, what do you say? And I told him, and he said, all right, that's it. I'm asking for my wife's cell phone to come back. And he said, she claims she lost it driving my work truck.
Okay.
And he said, we took the seats out, we took the mats out, we took everything out. It was not there. And I finally gave my wife my phone, and I got a new phone. And so so he said, I'm driving when we go out to lunch. And I thought, I got to watch this one. So he opens his truck on the driver's side. I'm opening the truck on the passenger side. He flips up the seat, and there's his wife's phone.
What did he say?
He looked at me, and I remember he's a construction guy and he owns his own construction business. He looked at me and he said, I never would have believed you if it hadn't happened to me.
Well, and a lot of people don't believe this stuff. I mean,
So this is
until,
the deal. If you're having stuff disappear,
yeah.
and then later it turns up, especially in the same place you left it, and you turn that dresser drawer inside out or the purse inside out, or you know, whatever else you thought it was, when it turns up later in the exact spot it was supposed to be in the first place, that's a sign that you've moved dimensionally. It's that simple. And if I'm doing it, everybody else is doing it. This is everyday
Mhm.
stuff. This is our new normal.
Well, and talk about, there's another thing, we've probably got maybe 6 or 7 minutes left, but I want you to talk a little bit about memory, because we tell people we're not losing our minds here on the memory. So talk about that a bit, Maureen, if
Okay,
you
so
would.
this is another dimensional shift. You get up and you say to yourself, okay, I need my headphones. I need to go get my headphones.
Right.
So you go, you get up, you go in the next room, you know they're sitting on the table in the next room, and you walk in the next room and you think, what am I doing? And
That's what's happening to me. That is what's happening to me. I have to stop you, and I'm sorry, you guys. I get up. No, this is true. This is freaking me out, Maureen. I'm so glad you came on the show today. I'm like, oh my God. So I get up and I walk upstairs because I have a 2-story, and I get up to the top of the stairs, and I'm like, why did I come up here? So continue on. I just don't understand what's going on.
From wherever we've been, we're literally allowing ourselves to shift. And what happens is whatever was going on in third doesn't seem nearly as important as just being in the present moment. And so we unhook. Now, what that does is allows us to, what I would call bifurcate, and create another version of the reality, and we come back into it, no problem. But we're literally time shifting in those moments.
That's what's going on.
And I'm not the only person that has been saying this. I've read other people who are saying the same thing, and I've been saying it a lot longer because I wrote this, you know, back in.
Well, you started experiencing it just like me. It's happening to me, and that's why I was so glad you were coming, because you're probably one of the only people I would ask that would really know, that I would trust, to be honest with you. That's true. Because you're so evolved and you teach all this stuff. Maureen, I know you've got a lot of classes going on. Sell yourself. Talk a little bit about what you have going on for people to help them, especially the Merkabah meditation. I mean, talk about the CD, the book, all of that.
Okay. So I do have a lot of classes that I teach. I also have the Merkabah training on video, so you can, you know, take the class and take your time and go through the videos and learn it. I also have, over 15 or 16 guided meditations, and they are wonderful. If you are having trouble getting connected and feeling like you're getting good information from source, get the golden bowl meditation, because it'll open up your sinuses. And I like to call it the satellite dish to call home. And that this particular guided meditation, it helps people open that energy field up. You know, I also, and there's a lot of guided meditations, and, you know, it's interesting to me because I have so many resources that I've created for the people I work with or for myself. It's hard to comprehend how much is out there, but I have stuff. I have a free meditation on SoundCloud and on my website for prayer before surgery. I have a meditation for the craziness that's going on in our world called Divine Government Meditation. And it's what we call angelic realm and the ascended masters to overshadow everybody and get them more connected to their higher self so that everybody's making better decisions. And those are all free. And then every month I have a freebie on my blog post. So you read the blog post and then there's a free download. For the month of July, there is a wonderful storyline about Mary Magdalene and the sacred geometry behind her name, which proves who she really is.
Oh, wow. I'll have to read that. How
and
cool.
Then there's a wonderful, wonderful prayer that I recorded for everybody. So, you know, those are all like, pick them up. They're all free. And then I'm going to be in Mount Shasta for a conference on August 26th. I'm going to be in Florida near Sarasota for a conference on the prior week. So that would be like the 13th and 14th, I believe it is. And
what's in Mount Shasta? What are you doing in Mount Shasta? Maybe I'll come see you.
It's called The Promise Revealed. And it is a summer conference called The Hierarchy of Light Come Together.
Neat.
So there'll be a lot of speakers there and a lot of really yummy opportunities to connect with these people and have the sessions with them. Plus being in Mount Shasta is pretty remarkable.
I've never been, and that's why I've been thinking about going. So that would be
then
cool.
my next Akashic Records Fast Track class will be offered August 31st. And then
is that on Zoom?
Yeah, it's on Zoom. And it's 4 days in a row, 4 hours each. So we call it the 4x4.
Oh, neat. That's cool. Okay, cool. Well, you guys, I'm really glad that Maureen came today. And I know you guys probably have a lot of questions like I do. But Maureen, what's some good information that you can give the audience if somebody's meditating and if somebody comes to you and say, hey, I'm meditating and I really want to get to, 5D and what can I do? What's the best thing they can do right now?
The fastest and easiest thing they can do is to announce when they get up in the morning, I'm asking for a day of heaven on earth for me and everyone I come in contact with and everyone I'm in contract with. And when you go to bed at night, you announce, I'm waking up in 5D. Those are two real super easy things. Just say it out loud and watch the magic. Then the next thing you can do when you're meditating and you want to be 5D, ask the Hathors to open your heart. Ask them to help you, overshadow you. And it's like the Hathors are so energetically powerful. They just put their energy over yours and then your heart will open and you'll feel safe. And then, as you have pointed out, the Merkabah gives you such a safe zone at 5D that you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to finishing your class. Thank you for coming on today. I truly appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Okay. All right, you guys, don't forget to pick up her book, Beyond the Flower of Life. This is Nancy Yearout. This is High Road to Humanity, and we will see you next time. Everybody take care. Bye-bye.
Connect the dots and keep the motion. Can achieve your goal. Let's hit the higher road.
Hey, you guys, join me next week on The High Road for more stories filled with wisdom, love, and hope for our future. Have a fabulous week and know that by staying on the high road, you will make it to your destination. Visit my website, nancyyearout.com, where you can book a private session to learn how to tap into your own abilities. And check out my YouTube channel. It's Nancy Yearout's High Road to Humanity.
You can achieve your goal.